After a dominant performance in Week 1, where the Nittany Lions beat the West Virginia Mountaineers 34-12 in Morgantown, Penn State returns home for their first game in Beaver Stadium in Week 2 against Bowling Green. Penn State opened up as 32-point favorites, and the line has moved up currently to 35.5. The last time these two teams met, and they've only met previously two times, both in the 90s during the Joe Paterno era, Penn State won 48-3 in 1998. Both teams are 1-0. Bowling Green beat Fordham 41-17, and obviously Penn State beat West Virginia 34-12. Since I've already reacted to Penn State's victory over West Virginia, I'm not going to go over that too much. I'll briefly touch on it, but I want to touch on Bowling Green's victory over Fordham first and give a little bit of a preview on who Penn State is going to play. Bowling Green ran the ball rather effectively. They ran it for 305 yards, averaging 9.2 yards per carry, and they had 5 rushing touchdowns. 3 of those to Terrion Stewart, their main running back, who had 14 of the 33 carries. Last season, Terrion Stewart had 762 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, and averaged over 6 yards per carry. Connor Bazelak and Lucarian Anderson III also had a rushing touchdown. And speaking of Connor Bazelak, he posted an 82 QBR. He was 15 of 22 for 168 yards, averaged 7.6 yards per pass attempt. No touchdowns, but didn't throw any picks either, and he's 26th currently in quarterback efficiency. Of course, against an FCS opponent, and not a great FCS opponent either, but it's not like Bowling Green is Ole Miss playing Furman, or, all these other schools like Mississippi State playing their FCS opponent, or there are just so many Power 4 on FCS matchups that occurred that you can't take much from. You can take some things from it. Oregon, it's clear they have some depth issues on the offensive line after their struggles against Idaho. Colorado they completely lack integrity in the trenches after their game against North Dakota State. But Bowling Green, for being a MAC school, did a fairly good job against their FCS opponent, and they will be able to run the ball. Scott Loeffler wants them to run the ball, Bowling Green's head coach. Penn State was dominant against West Virginia because, unlike last season, the Nittany Lions were able to find several big plays. Nicholas Singleton had a 40-yard run. Amari Evans had a 55-yard reception. And then Harrison Wallace had a 50-yard receiving touchdown. He also had an 18-yard receiving touchdown. Tyler Warren had a 19-yard receiving touchdown. And Katron Allen had a 20-yard receiving touchdown. Drew Aller was 11 of 17 for 216 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Penn State ran for over 5 yards per carry and over 200 yards against West Virginia, in a game where West Virginia was treating this game like a Super Bowl, and it was in Morgantown, in Milan-Pusker Stadium, at home for the Mountaineers. And Penn State came in, and they covered the spread, and they did more than cover the spread. It was 20-6 at the half, 34-12 to close out the game, and Penn State was, outside of that first quarter, they were in control the whole way. But looking at this game, obviously Bowling Green is not the same caliber of opponent that West Virginia is. They're going to be one of the easier opponents, from what I can tell, because you never know. Sometimes even MAC schools can be very good. They're one of the more inferior teams on Penn State's schedule. And Penn State has a bye in Week 3. So they can play Bowling Green, and they could even go a little more in terms of effort on Bowling Green and not have to worry about letting up in Week 3. Week 3 is a total rest. So what do you want to see from Penn State entering the bye? Well, what I want to see is the offense continuing the efficiency of Week 1. And can they be consistent in earning big plays, in being a functional unit? Does the offensive line continue to hold up? Does Harrison Wallace have another big game? Is Drew Aller as accurate? Can he actually be even more accurate than he was against West Virginia, against Bowling Green? Is the offense efficient? That's the question. It looked like the offense was efficient against West Virginia, but then again, Drew Aller threw for over 10 yards per pass attempt against West Virginia last season in 2023, and that same explosivity that he displayed in week 1 of 2023, you didn't see that from him for the rest of the season. So against a lesser opponent, again, it's a lesser opponent, and you're going to want to see more of the offensive efficiency against USC, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Maryland, Illinois, UCLA, and Big Ten conference play. But to have it be replicated here is at least a start, because literally after week 1 of 2023, you did not see the same ceiling that Penn State displayed against West Virginia in week 1 of last season. It seemed flukish a few weeks after the fact, and by the end of the year, you knew, well, it was because West Virginia did not have a good defense, and most teams in the Big Ten Penn State played had better players or a better defense, period. So that's what I want to see here, is how does the run game look? How does the pass game look? For the run game, you want to see consistency. You want to see explosive plays as well. That's something Penn State lacked, was not just explosive passing plays, but also explosive rushing plays in 2023. Can they earn some more explosive Nick Singleton runs? Can Katron Allen do better on the ground? He only averaged 2 yards per carry against West Virginia. Can they do that against a lesser opponent? You know that Bowling Green is going to stack the box, as is any team that is going to play Penn State. And then for the passing game, well, does Drew Aller complete consistently like more than 60%, even more than 70% of his throws? Is he throwing the ball in a clean manner? Is he taking care of the football? Is he putting the ball where only his receivers can get it, or they can only catch it, like he did last week? Does he do that? Does the offense look vanilla? And they probably will, but in that, can they be very efficient while looking vanilla? You know that Penn State is saving things for future weeks. Of course, in playing West Virginia, they did show off a lot, as they had to guarantee their best chance at victory. But there are some things that they're probably keeping in the bag for Ohio State, for USC, for Big Ten conference play. So they'll probably play a vanilla game here, wind things down heading into the bye week. Can they still excel while doing that? They certainly have the talent to do so. Can week 1's success be replicated? I think it will be. I think that Penn State will cover the spread. I think that they will win. I think that you'll see Drew Aller once again average more than 10 yards per pass attempt. He'll look good once again. I think Singleton now has shown himself to be the feature back. He got more carries to end the West Virginia game than Katron Allen did, and he had nearly 100 more rushing yards. But I think that Allen is going to have a bounce-back game. I don't know exactly what happened against West Virginia, other than the fact that it seems like whether it was last season when Penn State played them or this season, they were susceptible to big plays and medium plays, but they were pretty good at preventing Penn State from, consistently picking up 5, 6, 7, 4 yards per chunk play. Like Iowa, for example, against Penn State last season did the opposite. They let Penn State take those 4, 5, 6 yards, and it eventually killed them because they had no offense. But West Virginia did a decent job of stopping the run game early on, mostly from Katron Allen, and then Singleton eventually, along with a awesome passing performance by Drew Aller, Katron Allen as well with that 20-yard receiving touchdown. Harrison Wallace, Tyler Warren, and Amari Evans eventually broke that West Virginia defense. But I think on the ground, you'll see more of Katron Allen in terms of highlight plays. Singleton should have a good game. Something that I was impressed with is how Aller seems to be a much superior scrambler compared to what he was last season in that skill set. Last year, Aller always looked awkward when running. He looked like he didn't know how to run. This year, he, I think, has noticeably grown into being not a true dual threat quarterback, but a quarterback with mobility. And I think he understands now how to use his legs. He's better at being aware in the pocket. He, I think, has more agility to him, and he's overall he's an improved player. He is a more highly skilled quarterback than he was last season. So I'm looking forward to this game. Yes, it's not a big game, but as you know, college football with Sam, we cover the entire Big Ten. We try our best to, and to not just cover the entire Big Ten, but to like watch every game, look at every game. Of course, if we can, it's very hard with 18 teams, but I do think Penn State will win 52-10. I think Sanders Sahedek will make a field goal. He missed one against West Virginia last week. Special teams is important, and paying attention to how he is at kicking field goals, and if Sahedek improves at that, is going to be critical. Because I know Penn State got Chase Meyer in the portal at kicker, and if Sahedek just continues to struggle at making field goals, you have to try out Chase Meyer, because field goals, especially when, eventually Penn State is going to play Ohio State, who has an elite defense. Wisconsin has a great defense. I don't know if USC does, but there's a better chance they do now than ever before under Lincoln Riley. You will have to make your field goals, because that will still give you points, which are important, because winning games relies on you to score more points than your opponent and nothing else, as a famous paraphrase of that Paul Chryst quote. And I think he'll make one, but we'll just have to see. Special teams is an area really at the kicking game to pay attention to with Penn State. They're really good with Riley Thompson at punter and at every other position. The defense will play well. I think that Bowling Green will have some success on offense at points, but that's just because I think Bowling Green has a respectable offense. They'll probably get a garbage time touchdown, or maybe a touchdown early, but then get shut down and kick a garbage time field goal. And Penn State will just run up and down the field, pass up and down the field on the Bowling Green Falcons. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Remember to like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and comment your thoughts down below. Thanks to Crash2488 and Brasco Rascal for being Heisman Patreon members. Thanks to Chris Lane, Connor Little OH, and Ismar, and Tyler Nye for being All-American members. Thanks to John Lynn, Roaming Gnome, Matthew Sale, Austin Christmas, and Janisha Cockrell for being all-conference members. If you want my merchandise, and if you want it signed by me, free and delivered to your door, sign up as a Heisman member for $25 a month for 6 months, and you will get that merchandise. If you just want my merchandise with no strings attached, you can visit my merchandise store via the link in the description or down below in the pinned comment, where you will also find the link to the Patreon page. Have a great day, guys, and I will see you all very soon. Have a great day, and go Nittany Lions.